Good morning, and welcome to the First Universalist Church of Yarmouth. My name is Joanna Landsman, and I am the president of the Board of Trustees. I am so happy to be greeting you this morning live. It's good to be together. Welcome. At First Universalist, our mission is to explore our faith, embrace this community, and to engage the world as spiritual seekers. May we take those words to heart. Before our service begins this morning, I have the following announcements. First, as you may have noticed, our annual campaign kicked off this week. This is the time when you're invited to consider your financial commitment to First Universalist. You'll be hearing more, but for now, I'll just ask you, what does joy and justice mean to you? Following our service this morning, join us at 11:30 on Zoom for a special new member coffee hour, where we'll gather for fellowship and to offer a warm welcome to First U members who recently signed the book. I hope to see you there. Today at 4 p.m., Reverend Hillary and Gwen Matthews, our Director of Education and Communication, are facilitating a workshop on supporting LGB, trans, and non-binary youth. If you'd like to attend but haven't yet registered, please email Reverend Hillary or Gwen. The workshop will begin promptly at 4 and end at 5:15. Finally, got pie? All folks who pre-made pies for our mini pie exchange are welcome to drop them off at church this week, where we'll put them in the freezer until next Sunday's Pie Day pie exchange. Please remember to wear a mask when you make your pie and to include a list of ingredients when you drop them off. Check channels for drop-off times or contact Gwen or Reverend Hillary for more information. And please note, even if you didn't make a pie, you are still welcome to come pick one up next Sunday afternoon. Here at First U, all are welcome to pie. But now, take a deep breath and settle into the sacred space and time we create together each week. Reverend Hillary will lead us into our worship.
Thanks, Joanna. And thank you, Sam. Thank you, Kai and Pete, our tech crew. And good morning to you. How are you? Happy March. It's good to be together today. My name is Hillary Collins-Gilpatrick. I'm the minister of First Universalist Yarmouth. And it is with joy that I say, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, whatever you've done, whether you find the brisk negative 10-degree wind chills of late invigorating, or if, no, you don't like the negative 10-degree wind chills at all, you, my friend, are welcome here. And we're so glad you're here. My friends, negative 10-degree wind chills be darned. It is a bright blue morning outside. The spring equinox is steadily approaching, and I am grateful to be alive and with you this March as we explore the theme of commitment. Our Soul Matters resources for the month offered a definition of commitment, explaining that the word includes 3 Latin roots: com, together, mit, to send, and ment, a result. Commitment, together, sending a result. This shapes an idea that commitment is not experienced in isolation, but rather with others and with all parts of ourselves. That commitment has an energy that moves and sends us along in a direction, and that commitment is the result of choice. And commitment sure is a fitting theme today as we kick off our annual campaign, Growing Joy and Justice, which will run through the month. And so today in our worship, I offer you, yes, a sermon on the amount. And my friends, no matter your financial situation, no matter your discomfort in money matters, no matter if you just don't know if you can give after this financially destabilizing year, you are welcome here. You are welcome to do what feels right and possible, and you are welcome to this table and this conversation. Come, grow some joy and justice with us today. Our opening words are a familiar verse from Sufi mystic and whirling dervish, Jalal ad-Din Rumi. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 100 times, come, come again. Come. Good morning, First Universalist, my just and joyful friends. Our worship has begun. As I light the symbol of our faith, won't you join me in saying aloud our chalice lighting blessing. We light our chalice in peace and friendship. Our opening hymn is number 1017, Building a New Way.
Sam will play a prelude before the hymn.
Okay, please join us for hymn number 1017, Building a New Way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. That is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Oh, peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Oh, peace and freedom is our cry.
Our reading today is a poem by Reverend Nancy Schaffer. The Reverend Schaffer served as a minister of religious education, an interim minister, and a settled minister in UU congregations across the country until 2012, when she passed away very quickly and far too early of brain cancer. Of Reverend Schaffer, the Reverend Dr. Forrest Church once wrote, "Nancy's world is riddled with epiphanies. Her kitchen table is an altar set for communion. Her anger is pure. Her sorrow is sacramental. Nancy reaches our souls." The poem we read of hers today is entitled, "That Which Holds All." Because she wanted everyone to feel included in her prayer, she said right at the beginning several names for the holy. Spirit, she said, Holy One, Mystery, God. But then, thinking these weren't enough ways of addressing that which cannot be fully addressed, she added particularities, saying, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Ancient Holy One, mystery we will not ever fully know, gracious God, and also Spirit of this earth, God of Sarah, Gaia, thou. And then, tongue loosened, she fell to naming superlatives as well. Most creative one, greatest source, closest hope, even though superlatives for the sacred seemed to her probably redundant. But then she couldn't stop. One who made the stars, she said, although she knew technically a number of those present didn't believe the stars had been made by anyone or thing, but just luckily happened. One who is an entire ocean of compassion, she said, and no one laughed. That which has been present since before the beginning, she said, and the room was silent. And then, although she hadn't imagined it this way, others began to offer names. Peace, said one. One my mother knew, said another. Ancestor, said a third. Wind, rain, breath, said one near the back. Refuge, that which holds all. A child said, water. Someone said, Kuan Yin. Then, womb, witness, great kindness, great eagle, eternal stillness. And then, There wasn't any need to say the things she thought would be important to say. And everyone sat hushed until someone said, Amen. With all those names and particularities and superlatives, feelings, resources we just named for all that is holy, miraculous, lucky in our lives. We now come to the time in our service that we set aside for silent prayer and contemplation. And as we arrive at the 1-year mark of when everything changed in our town, our state, our country, our world, when the places we love to go began to close, when the people we love to hug began to stand 6 feet away from us, when our contact with others became limited to screens, when we stopped singing together, eating together, when people began to get sick and die, when many jobs were lost or became impossibly exhausting, when people began to be afraid. Our hearts lift with joy, release, and hope right now for the increasing number of people getting vaccinated, including many members of our congregation. But as we look ever toward an end that might just be in sight, I ask that we not lose sight of what was lost this year. And so, in the midst of our personal prayers and meditations and silence that we need to offer and hold today, I invite you during this time to take a moment to be still with me in grief for the loss of so many lives this year. As of this morning, over 524,000 people have died in the United States from COVID-19, and over 2,580,000 people have died worldwide. It's said that 1 in 3 Americans knows at least one person who's died from the virus. These are huge numbers, huge numbers. And we cannot forget that each one was a real person. Each death that comprised these big numbers was once a life, a real life, a person with inherent worth and dignity who was loved by many, who was part of an interconnected web. And so, please join me in prayer right now. A prayer that those who died are at peace. A prayer that their loved ones still are loved. A prayer that we will act with kindness and care in all our days, so we will be of benefit to all we encounter, as many of the people we encounter are living with grief and are in great need of love. Won't you join me now for a moment of stillness, meditation, and prayer? for all that we can express out loud, for all we hold inside, for all who need love and peace right now. We hear you. We hold you. And we wish you immediate comfort, continued joy, a path forward, and the seeds of peace. Let it be so.
In honor of our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, this week's offering is shared with Maine TransNet, a community-based organization led by transgender people for transgender people. Maine TransNet provides peer-to-peer support groups, advocacy for the transgender community across Maine, and transgender cultural competency training for health and social service providers. Maine TransNet engages trans folks and allies across the state in the practice of community building and organizing for mutual liberation. You're invited to make your offering using the donate button in the order of worship. By clicking this link, you will be taken to Give Butter, a virtual giving site that accepts a card number, PayPal, and Venmo accounts. You may also give your offering by dropping a check in the mail or by using your bank's free bill pay feature. This morning's offering has now been requested and will be gratefully received. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Spirit, Holy One, Mystery, God, that which holds all. Around 7:35 every Wednesday night at our weekly Vespers service, I invite all gathered to put their screens in gallery view. It's an invitation, along with asking people to mute themselves, that I never imagined myself saying as a minister, or really ever saying to anyone at all ever. But despite the technological chill of these phrases, something special, something miraculously soulful happens every Wednesday night, a little 7:30, when we mute ourselves and put our screens on gallery. We take a moment to wholeheartedly see and love one another. In case you have been fortunate enough not to live your whole professional and relational life on Zoom this past year, and you don't know what this newfangled gallery view business is all about, let me explain. So sometimes on Zoom, you just see one person's face, kind of like you just see my face right now. But in gallery view, you see everyone's face, live footage of them in little squares on a grid on your screen. I know, it's so weird, right? Muted faces in squares on a grid on a screen. Ooh, that techno chill. How could this possibly be, as I just described, soulful, wholehearted? Well, my friends, because of you. When we gather for Vespers, we spend the first 15 minutes or so in silent and guided meditation. And then we open our eyes, wiggle a little bit, light a candle together, and consider a poem before we come to the time where we speak aloud and listen deeply to the joys, the sorrows, the feelings, the experiences that we carry with us at that hour. I light a candle and offer a blessing for what each person shares during our joys and sorrows, sometimes smiling wide after a wonderful story about a grandchild or a positive update on a friend's recovery, and other times needing to pause and take a breath to steady myself following a crushing reflection on a loved one's pain. And then, when the space grows quiet and it seems we've all said what we need to say or can say, I light a couple final candles and then, I invite everyone to put their screens in gallery view. With everyone's face and name clearly present before us, we spend the last minutes of our Vespers looking at each person for a few moments and offering a silent, loving kindness prayer to them and a reminder that they are loved and good. Loved and good. Loved and good. It's the sort of ritual that I think might only be successful on Zoom, because when you're on Zoom, no one really knows who's looking at who any given second. There's no awkward moments, no self-consciousness, just wholehearted presence to one another in the loving prayers we are offering. We end Vespers by closing our eyes, taking a few breaths, and letting all that love and goodness that we were just offered into our minds and hearts, our bodies, into all the far reaches of our being that need a reminder of their loveliness. And the last thing we do is take a deep breath, really stretching that love and goodness all through us and exhaling out some love that we can spare back into the world where it is also desperately needed. Given the consistent attendance we've had at Vespers every single Wednesday since August, I know I'm not alone when I say that this weekly ritual of giving and receiving loving kindness on gallery view has become an incredibly meaningful part of my week. And my friends, not just my week, but my ministry with you, my connection to you. I imagine you feel it too. Witness, great kindness, great eagle, eternal stillness, that which holds all. As I turned this Sermon on the Mount over and over in my head this week, one word continued to appear in my notes. That word, wholehearted. I kept contemplating what it means to act wholeheartedly, to give wholeheartedly, to receive wholeheartedly. The Oxford English Dictionary defines wholehearted as showing complete sincerity and commitment. Our time of offering love and goodness to each other every Wednesday is doubtless, in my mind, a time of wholeheartedness. And it's rituals like this that are, to me, the whole point of belonging to a faith community. This congregation, our church, is a practice space, a place to practice wholehearted action, whether that be standing up for what you believe is right, expressing disappointment or frustration, offering love and care, asking for love and care, exploring your faith, your ethics, trying out being a leader, trying out not being a leader, and yes, even wholeheartedly talking about money. We practice these wholehearted ways of being in church so that we can become more steady in our wholehearted selves, our sincere, honest, good, beloved, and loving selves. So we can carry those selves beyond our church walls or church screens into the world of our daily lives, daily actions, relationships. So when we can practice wholeheartedly offering love and goodness and receiving love and goodness for a few minutes each week, we are steadily creating and maintaining a solid ground from which we can practice all these other wholehearted ways of being together and being alive. Wind, rain, breath, refuge, great kindness, that which holds all. Okay, my friends, it's Commitment Sunday, the day of the year that we ask you to make a financial commitment to our congregation, the First Universalist Church of Yarmouth. Our annual campaign to grow joy and justice in our community will run through this month. And if we successfully meet our goal, it will enable our church to operate, sustain, maintain, dream big, and meet the expected and unexpected needs of the upcoming year. And a successful annual campaign this month will enable our other beloved annual fundraising events like the Holiday Fair to be raised simply for the joyful and just benefit of all. If we reach our goal, what we raise from other fundraisers in the next year will all go to local causes, organizations, and movements that act for justice. Causes, orgs, and movements that work to improve the livelihood of others, that help our neighbors, that support our youth, that dismantle racism and other oppressions, that heal our beautiful earth and protect its myriad sacred beings. My friends, this is a wonderfully radical vision. How joyful our future fundraising events could be. This March, this month of commitment, we look to a year ahead where our joy and justice can just grow continuously. And now, I am positive that everyone here can get behind this radical, joyful, and just vision. But I know that our annual campaign arrives after an unprecedented year of financial loss, job insecurity, grief, exhaustion, and great uncertainty as to what the future might hold. And so, how can we give when we're not sure what we will need, what our partners and children, parents and loved ones will need in the year ahead? I hear you. I hear you. And here's why I'm giving, despite and because of these anxieties. This past year was definitely the most uncertain year I've survived in my life. But you know what continuously provided solid ground for me to stand, run, and rest upon? The act of committing myself to causes that I trust to lead, care, teach, create, love, and heal the world. I gave to Lama Rod Owens and Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, spiritual teachers who use faith practices to dismantle racism and heal trauma. I gave to Black Lives Matter and the Black Visions Collective, a nonprofit that supports trans and queer Black artists and activists. I gave to the UUA. I gave to the Northeast UU Ministers Association. I gave to Black Lives of UU. I gave to the Milarepa Center, my Sangha. I gave to Wabanaki Reach, to Soulfire Farm. I gave to Trans Lifeline. I gave to an old friend who I learned is struggling with addiction and living unhoused. And every time I gave, I felt steadier. I felt connected. I felt a sense of belonging and purpose. Truly, every time I gave, I felt joy. Everything was still unprecedented and uncertain after I gave, but I was suddenly more attuned to the good works of the world. I had something to do with my heart and mind besides fret. By giving, I received the wisdom, the updates, the invitations to connect, learn more, consider new ideas, and know that I am loved and good. In a time of great imbalance, by giving, I was given solid ground, fertile ground. And this solid ground offers the exact same feeling I get when we put our screens in gallery view around 7:35 every Wednesday night. Just give one another some love. This week, I committed $2,720 to the First Universalist Growing Joy and Justice campaign. I'll pay my pledge monthly. It'll come to a little over $50 a month. This amount is 4% of my salary. And no, it does not put me in the highest giving category, but as Alexis's employment has been unsteady through the year and remains uncertain going forward, it's an amount that feels at once possible, reasonable, and also a good flex of my generosity muscle. I've committed to this annual campaign because I want to. I want to give with you and to you. I want to practice what I preach. I give because I want this community to be our shared solid ground. First, you. This is our first year together. And despite all the wrenches thrown into all the plans, can you believe what we have accomplished so far? At a distance, online, sometimes muted in gallery view? This year, we developed the ways and means of live streaming our service with clear sound and vision for all to see and hear whenever they like. We developed a weekly schedule of check-in points for folks to gather online and connect. We UU'd the vote. We successfully achieved our Rise Up campaign. We gathered for an in-gathering outdoor blessing and in an election candlelit vigil. Along with the many newcomers who've been tuning into our services, we welcomed 5 new members just this past month. We sent lots of postcards to each other. And we're facilitating a brilliant group of coming-of-age students who are exploring their beliefs. We participated in a collaborative Christmas Eve service with our neighbor UU congregations. We endorsed the spirit of the 8th principle. We held an all-congregation Dream Big retreat. We thought very carefully about the safety of some traditions and called them off. We thought very carefully about the safety of other traditions and reimagined them, like our mini pie exchange next Sunday. Oh, and we were also one of the first churches ever in the history of the UUA to hold a virtual candidating week and vote to call a minister, the results of which I'll go ahead and say, I feel pretty good about. And my friends, all this has happened in less than a year. We are just getting started growing joy and justice. And look at what seeds are already sprouting, leafing, blossoming. Can you imagine the wild goodness and love that will grow from our collective commitment to this congregation? In the year ahead, we will continue to think inside and outside the box. Plans are already hatching regarding hybrid in-person and virtual worship services, adult and children's religious education classes, pastoral leadership training, social justice retreats, and more. Much time will continue to be devoted to innovation and experimentation, and much time will be devoted to restoration, rebuilding, and welcoming each other back and welcoming each other in. Spirit of life, spirit of love, mystery we will not ever fully know. Most creative one, greatest source, closest hope, that which holds all. That which holds all. This which holds all. My friends, I close by reminding you in this season of commitment that all are welcome here. No matter what's possible or impossible for you. No matter if you are a wanderer, a worshiper, a lover of leaving. No matter if you've broken your vows 100 times. No matter if the uncertainty of these times, the grief, the loss is too much. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Our ground is solid ground. Our ground is practice ground. Our ground is fertile ground. And you are wholeheartedly welcome to stand, run, and rest here. You are loved and good here in this place that holds all. First Universalist, this month, let us be together. Let us practice together. Let us commit together. Let us sow joy and justice as far and wide as we can. Let's grow together, wholeheartedly. Let it be so. Amen.
When I think about joy and justice, I think of our senior youth proclaiming their I believe statements in front of the whole congregation.
When I think about joy and justice, I celebrate the 10 new Mainers who have called 95 Maine their home.
When I think of joy and justice, I think of serving meals together at Preble Street.
When I think about joy and justice, I remember Reverend Hillary encouraging us to be bodhisattvas, embracing all of life, and to see the work as pleasurable.
When I think about joy and justice, I think about giving away half of our collection plate every week to causes that support and work for justice.
When I think about joy and justice, I think about Hillary's letter to the town council, the police, and the newspapers on our behalf about racism in Yarmouth.
When I think about joy and justice, I think about drinking wine with my friends and laughing together in the kitchen as we serve up the farm supper.
When I think about joy and justice, I hear our unison blessing and I feel the courage to take the next step.
When I think about joy and justice, I think about how grateful I am to belong to a community committed to loving kindness, and that in these days of division, I'm not alone in my work.
When I think about joy and justice, I picture our beautiful church with its flags and banner, and I hear our bell ring out liberal religion in Yarmouth.
When I think of joy and justice, I think of how Gwen and the Congregation Connections have technologically adapted to this crazy pandemic, so we may all continue to witness our services, be connected, and know we're not alone.
When I think about joy and justice, I see our candles of joys and concerns shining brightly for our deepest sorrows and our boundless joys.
So now we're going to sing our closing hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life. And we'll sing it twice through.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Pete. And thank you, Marge, Sarah, Stu, and Nancy for that beautiful video and for helping us kick off our annual campaign this Sunday. A warm welcome to you all to come to our coffee hour at 11:30-ish, where we will welcome new members to our congregation. But before then, please join me for our time of benediction. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all experience profound joy and the causes of profound joy. May we all know we are loved. May we all feel able to let others know they are loved. May we all be free. Won't you join me in our unison benediction? For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. For those who come to seek a path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Our service has ended, my friends. Go in peace and enjoy a postlude from Sam.